It's that lunchroom chatter podcast, you know? Where you sit up and think about fucking your girl's best friend, but you can't because your girl's a fighter and she'll fuck you up. This that lunchroom chatter podcast where you lay up and think about being a porn star, but you can't because you come too quick, so you gotta eat the pussy for 95 minutes. That kind of shit. This that lunchroom chatter podcast where you in bed at night thinking about beating your meat, but you can't because you live with your mama. And she bust in the room and say, bitch, get the fuck up. Mama, why you ain't knock on the door first? This that kind of shit. Where you can be yourself, where you can relax, where you could put yourself into the mind of another nigga. So stay tuned. Let's get this shit poppin'. Lunchroom chatter podcast, baby. We back with a
brand new LCP.
Brand new LCP. Man, one more time, man. You guys who stay showing love, stay supporting your boy. Thank you. Thank you. That support is the only way we are still alive and over here at that LCP. So hand clap for all the supporters out there. Now, I want to have a lighthearted episode. I want to have an episode centered around the BBL, also known as the Brazilian butt lift. Because I know, you know, it's a huge cosmetic trend, especially in society today. But it seemed as if it's kind of on the decline, at least among celebrities, because some celebrities are taking out their BBL. Like you go back to K. Michelle a couple years ago, she documented her, you know, her steps to taking out her butt injections. You look at motherfuckers like Black China, who has taken out her butt injections because she spoke about the issues she was having with her health and a lot of things centered around that. You look at Cardi B, who said she had a BBL done in a damn apartment basement, some rinky-dink ass shit. So I posed the question on Instagram where I asked a couple folks, I said, okay, if you're in a relationship, you got a girl, you married, fiance, whoever, and your partner goes out of town for a week because they tell you they have a family emergency, but they come back with a fresh BBL as a surprise to you and because they wanted to surgically enhance themselves. How would you feel? So I have a lot of voicemails in relation to that. I had one woman who went above and beyond to where she recorded herself asking her wife. So this episode is going to be entertaining. You guys are going to hear my thoughts. And also, I'm going to tell you how I feel if my girl, wife, fiance, or whoever was to surprise me with a BBL. But before we get to the voicemails and antics and a lot of the entertainment that is probably going to come surrounding those voicemails, which I myself have not heard yet because I want to be able to answer in real time and give my genuine opinion, man. I got some voicemails from some fellas who I know gon' give me the real spiel. Now, before we get to that, Atlanta news first here in Atlanta. About a year ago, they published a story entitled "The Price of Pretty Butt Injections Gone Wrong," where they detailed the story of a black woman who went and had some butt injections, and she had to deal with the fallout from that. So check out this story. I'm going to come back. We going to dive into the voicemails. Again, this is The Price of Pretty Butt Injections Gone Wrong. Atlanta news first. Talk to me.
I was shaking. I was crying so terribly. The nurse was like, calm down. I was just like, what have I done to myself?
The injuries are too graphic to show, but the images offer a blurry look at the price of pretty. October 2022, Shantia Cooley saw injections for the perfect bum. The 49-year-old did not want it bigger, just smoother.
Would this help me with the cellulite? Injecting it here?
After the procedure, not only was she still left with the cellulite, but the mom had issues much worse.
Henry County 911.
My mom, she just recently had surgery on her butt, and it looks infected, and she can't walk or anything.
Medical records detail Piedmont Henry doctors found sepsis in her bloodstream. Sepsis can lead to organ failure and death. Shantia recalls the doctor determined the cause, butt injections gone wrong.
They kept me. I stayed in hospital for a week, actually.
Texan Payment Plans confirmed she got the procedure done by Von Seal Daniel at Chaotic Von Beauty Bar. The College Park business advertises medical procedures from bum fillers to lipo. But according to state records, the business and its owner have no medical license.
So I guess that explains why I ended up in the hospital.
In Georgia, it is a felony crime to perform unlicensed medical work. Adding insult, board-licensed plastic surgeon Dr. Nirav Patel explains,
Peel Pack label has an expiration date.
in order to even get these FDA-approved injectables, you have to be credentialed, meaning unlicensed workers often rely on black market or altered product. Shantia believes she was getting hyaluronic acid filler in her bum. Dr. Patel argues it's unlikely.
It's a combination of blood, possibly pus or like infected fluid. So that's not normal at all, the typical inflammation that one mounts when you have fake stuff injected.
Data from the National Institute of Health illustrates a 25% death rate and a 50% hospitalization rate for injection injuries by unlicensed providers. But the agency notes the number is likely significantly underreported. After Atlanta News First started asking questions, the Georgia Medical Composite Board opened an investigation. As a regulatory agency, it typically suspends or revokes licenses, but enforcement gets complicated when a facility does not have a medical license to begin with, like the case of Chaotic Von Beauty, where allegations remain twofold. The owner offers the medical services here locally while also offering sessions across the country to train others. When we reached out to Von Seal Daniel about the allegations, the owner's only reply, can you provide the names of the consumers?
Miss Vaughn?
After she stopped responding, we showed up to the business. It appeared empty inside. So we called.
We want to talk to Miss Von Seal because there's no record that she has a medical license, yet she's offering medical services. Is this Miss Von Seal?
Which service is that? Yes, which service are you speaking on?
The butt injections.
Okay, so we do have nurses on staff, and we also, I have phlebotomist license, and I also am an esthetician. What is the issue, ma'am?
Where are you licensed at? Where are these licenses coming from? Are they in the state of Georgia? What states?
I'm currently Florida licensed, but we're getting everything transferred now.
You
and
yourself.
Which client, and my lawyer told me to ask you which clients, because all of our clients have NDAs, forms, and they also waive their rights and all that good stuff there. So which client are you speaking on?
I'm confused. You say your clients have NDAs and they waive all their rights to get procedures from you?
We told her she needed an actual medical license to perform this work. She claimed she had nurses on staff. Atlanta News First found no documentation to substantiate any of it.
Okay. Well, she hung up.
As for Shantia, she cautions others to do what she did not.
Be aware and be careful. And
So like she said, man, but first of all, let's clap it up for Atlanta News First. But please do your research. Now, I've said this time and time again, if you want to get your butt done, you want to get your ass done, or any type of surgery, make sure you are going to somebody who actually has the licenses, who actually can perform the job, who actually know what the fuck they doing. Like, because you go on Instagram and you see, butt injections sell $9.99. Like, I know the price is low compared to the over $10,000 it would cost to get it done by somebody who is actually legit. Sometimes those deals can be your death. Okay, one more time. Sometimes those deals can be your death. So please do your research. Stop rushing because you see a deal and you want to get your butt done for $9.99. Please don't. So clap it up one more time for Atlanta News First for their great reporting. Now, like I said, man, a couple days ago, man, I posed the question to a couple folks on Instagram. You know, I hit up a couple men I know. I had some women chime in, said that they would love to give their opinion. So the question I asked, let me get the question queued up. So the question I asked, I said, I'm working on an episode about the explosion of the BBL trend. So let's say your girl, fiance, wife told you she was going out of town for a week to handle a family matter, and she returned with a full BBL to your surprise, ass still wrapped, bloodstains on the bandages, and told you this was something she always wanted and she wants you to support her, how would you feel? So let's get into those voicemails. Talk to me. How would you feel?
My girl is Asian, so I would look and I'll be like, first I gotta see, like, do the ankles and the legs match? But then I'll be like, damn, you could have told me, you could have been honest. I would have supported you either way, even if it's a vanity surgery. But I mean, I'm not a big fan of it. But, sometimes there's girls, they like that stuff, and guys, some guys like that crazy stuff.
One more time, let's clap it up, man, because he kept it real. Because sometimes a lot of women, they do like that crazy stuff. And again, it's nothing wrong with loving that stuff, with liking those things. But like I said, you got to be careful and you got to be smart, because sometimes, like, you may go on Instagram, you may see something. Oh my God, this girl has XYZ. She looks like this. I want to look like that. I want to look like this because I had X amount of kids. And as they say, I want to get the mommy makeover. I want to get my body back. But like I said, you have to be careful of where the fuck you're going, because a lot of times your partner gonna love you for you. Now, I know that a lot of women say, when I get it done for me, and I understand that. But I believe that sometimes we do have to take our partner's thoughts into consideration, because if you guys share kids, like, there is a chance you can die on that table. You look at what happened with DC Young Fly and his girl, and how they shared kids, and how she had a child and she went to go get a mommy makeover, and sadly she passed away on the table. Going to have that surgery, that can impact your partner, even if you think you're doing it for you. Because when you come back and now you're bloody, and now you come back and now you still bandaged up, your partner, for the most part, is going to be right there supporting you. Is going to be right there assisting you in your recovery, unless you're single. So like I said, if you're in a relationship, I do think that is something that you have to have a conversation with your partner, and you can't just go abruptly do it and come back and just expect someone to be there and support you. But like I said, let's keep the voicemails going. Let's keep going down the bar. Hey, next voice message is from my guy, the man himself. Sully, how would you feel if your girl disappeared for a week, came back, and she had the BBL? Talk to me, Sully.
So, first off, whatever a woman wants to do to her body is her business, right? It's her business. If she wants to come home with a BBL, fine. Let her do that. However, if you have a boyfriend, a fiance, or a husband, you owe that person communication. And if you feel...
I want to pause it and I want to clap it up one more time, because that's what the fuck I just said. If you single, one more time, if you are single, you can do whatever the hell you want. But if you're in a relationship, you aren't alone. When you are in a relationship, you have to take into consideration somebody else's time, somebody else's opinions, and somebody else's simply their feelings. You can't just disappear and come back with major surgery without having that discussion. Now, I know that there's that fear that, if I have the conversation with my partner, then they may talk me out of it, but I really want to get it done anyway. So that's when you should probably be single, if you go and ignore your partner's feelings and expression, because those things matter. But let's dive back in. Talk to me.
You don't owe the person you're in a relationship with communication, then you just shouldn't be in a relationship, because that is the backbone of the entire thing. Your ability to communicate, be open, and be honest with each other. So if you run off for a week and tell your husband or whoever, your boyfriend, that you are going to handle a family matter and come back looking completely different than you did before you left, I think that there is a huge communication issue here that we need to talk about. Now, that doesn't mean that I feel like she needs my approval to get something done.
That's a fact.
Right? Though, if this is my wife or fiance are talking about, you think that we would want to be on the same accord here. But she doesn't need my approval. But it's just, if I'm in your life as somebody that cares about your health and well-being, don't you think you should tell me when you're going under the needle or something like that, right? When you're getting operated on, you could very possibly die getting one of these operations done to yourself. So I just think it's a bit of just common courtesy just to let the person that's in your life on a boyfriend, fiance, husband level know, hey, I'm going to be at the doctor.
Now I want to clap it up because, like I said, going back to DC Young Fly, now when his partner Jackie O went to go have surgery done, can you imagine had she went and just did that shit on her own, on a whim, and now you die on the fucking table or you die in the hotel and nobody knew you was going to have that surgery? Like I said, me like to just invoke some of my opinion. If I'm in a relationship with somebody and she say, hey, John, you know, I've been thinking about going to get surgery. I really want to get my boobs done. I want to get a BBL. I don't think I would be okay with that. Again, she can do what she wants. But my opinion is I love a natural woman. I think that natural woman is beautiful. I'm never going to encourage or tell somebody, hey, you know what? You had 3 kids. You should go get your stomach done. You should go get. No. If you put the time, you can improve things at the gym. Now, of course, you're not going to be perfect. You're not going to go back to having your body look how it looked before you had the surgery because that's not realistic. It's not possible because you had kids. Your stomach is going to stretch. Your body is going to go through those changes. That's just the crux of it. But me, I'm going to love you for you. Now, I know that with social media and with celebrities and blog pages and TikTok and all these type of shits, a lot of women see those things and those things now become the standard. They use these filters on Instagram and now they want their face to look like how the filter makes their face look. They want their boobs to sit up better. They want to have the ass that their favorite rapper or that their favorite, social media sensation has. But that's not realistic because when you chase those things, you are just chasing a never reaching standard of beauty because you're never going to reach it. Once you reach that standard, it's going to change to something else. And now the carrot is dangled even further. So now you are going to keep trying to chase a standard of beauty that you are never going to reach.
You should know. I think that is the bare minimum amount of communication that is necessary here. And also, I think that the procedure being done could be an issue as well, right? So if it's just a boob job, for example, right? And I've known for years that my wife has wanted a boob job and she comes home randomly with one after telling me she was going to do something else and just comes home with a boob job. I'm not too upset about that, right? Maybe I'm wondering where she got the money from for it. Was it okay to spend this amount of money without having a proper discussion, assuming that she's my wife or fiance, right? But I mean, if I know that's something that she wanted to do and she did it, okay, I'm not super upset about it. Bitch, don't say nothing when I come home with a new motorcycle, right? or decide that I want to spend money on our vacation on something else, right? When you have went out to do something like that. But I'm not super upset if I knew all along that this is something she wanted to do.
That's a fact. You got to be fair because like he said, you got to be equal. So now, okay, if we plan to have $10,000 to go on a vacation and now, you know what? I want to go buy something else. I want to go buy this new $5,000 hat, just some bullshit. Don't complain then because you went out of town, had a whole BBL and you better come back with the good BBL too. Like, don't leave and come back and now you're looking like Cardi B because you had some fucking cement just inserted in the bottom of the basement. You better come back with the BBL like the first person said. I'm going to check the legs. I'm going to check your ankles and it better match up. Don't come back looking like no ant. But my guy Study got one last portion. Then we going to move into some more voicemails. Like I said, man, I had a woman who has a wife and she asked her wife this question. So I figured that'll be entertaining and just give you some more insight because you get to hear a couple have the conversation in real time. So Sully, come on, talk to me.
But if she comes home with a full-on BBL without properly communicating that, then I do think that it is more of a severe issue than her coming home with, say, a boob job. And like, I'm not a medical professional. The risk between getting a full BBL and getting a boob job could be the same. I don't know. Maybe they're different. But just the perception of it is going to rub me the wrong way. Like, you know, I love guns, right? So if I come home randomly from work one day with a new $500 gun, okay, I probably should have said, hey, baby, I'm going to stop by the gun store. I might pick up something on the way home. But maybe that's not that big of an issue. If I come home with a $5,000 gun, hey, maybe that's something we should have talked about.
That's a fact.
Let alone if I come home with a damn $30,000 fully automatic rifle. Yeah, that's an issue for you to be out spending that type of money.
And that's why I said, if you are in a relationship, a long-term relationship, you guys are engaged, you guys are married, that is the conversation that you need to have with your partner. Now, to segue from that, I had somebody who is married have the conversation with their partner. And let's see first what she had to say about that. If her partner would come home with a fresh BBL, and then we are going to hear them talk about that topic as a couple.
If my wife came home with a BBL, I would be appalled. Like, truly, truly appalled. Because why would you change the stuff that I already like about you? I don't understand that. Like, as a woman who has given birth to multiple children, I know that our bodies don't necessarily look the way that they used to. So I get it. But with a BBL comes work. You have to exercise, all these things. So if you want your body to look like that, then why not just go to the gym, exercise, put in the work, eat the right food in order to have the body that you want?
I want to clap it up right there now. She sent in a 2-part answer, but, you know, because she's right. Like, if you want a nice butt, you want a nice derriere, you want a nice ass, going to the gym is probably the best way. Now, I know going to the gym, doing squats, doing lunges, doing all the fucking leg and ass exercises, that takes time. And now, in the culture, the era we live in now, people want instant gratification. If they decide on Monday they want a nice ass, they want that nice, round, firm ass to be ready and available by Wednesday. Like, that's how fast they want the shit to happen. So she's right. Because, you know, when I go to the gym, it's times I've been to the gym in fucking March, and somebody come in there with no ass or the shit not as firm as it could be. And then they go to that gym consistently, like 4 to 5 days a week. And come November, come December, when they walk in there, they look 3,000% different. So we're going to clap it up for the ones that go to the gym and actually stay committed and dedicated. Clap it up. Because it's not easy to do. To go to the gym, be dedicated, be committed, and just stay true. You guys who go get that BBL, who go dive and go get that surgery, especially that risky surgery, you better be careful. Now, when I end this episode, I have a clip I would love to leave you guys with. It was about two black women who passed away going to get a BBL, and you guys are going to hear a panel discuss and dive into maybe some safer alternatives that you guys can use. But that's for the end of the podcast. Let's dive back into what she had to say.
I would definitely tell my wife that she's lazy. I'm sorry.
Damn.
And I'm very unapologetic about it.
Clap it up one more time for keeping it real. She said, if my wife go get a BBL, I'm going to tell the bitch she lazy. Now, I understand sometimes you got to cater and just step around people's feelings. But that is some lazy shit. That's some lazy shit. Now, again, this same person, she asked her wife, I believe they had a discussion about that BBL. So let's dive into what they said as they discussed it.
Baby, what would you do if I told you that I had to go to the hospital for an emergency and I came back home with a BBL?
If you came home with a BBL, I'd probably look at you like you was stupid and wouldn't touch you no more.
But why wouldn't you touch me anymore? I would have a big old booty, flat stomach, all that good stuff. Like, the whole purpose of me getting the BBL is so that I can have a big old booty and make it clap and stuff for you to touch.
I like real body parts. I like stretch marks. I like real booties. I don't like made up stuff. That's not up my alley.
I want to clap it up. Goddamn. She said, I like that real body. I like the natural. I like stretch marks. Ooh, clap. I need some more claps. God damn, because when I say that as a man, for some reason, now in 2024, sometimes that comes off as a not, oh my God, if you're championing natural bodies, that mean you, like, stop it. If a black man champions the natural body, it does not mean I'm bashing the women who aren't natural. Simply get the fuck out my way so that I can see that natural ass, so that I can see that ass with the stretch marks. But let's dive in. Let's keep it going, my brother. Lil B sent in a voicemail. Again, how would you feel? Your girl, your wife, whoever, disappeared for a week, came back with a BBL. Talk to me.
All right, my boy. So, dang, it's a crazy topic. I'm not gonna lie, I'll be surprised and disappointed, bro. Of course, you can't tell a woman what to do with her body. It's her body, but it's like, we married for a certain amount of years, or I've known you for this long, we've been locked in for this long, and I'm used to how you look, you feel me? And like, out of nowhere, no communication, you just come back. I feel like that's a little bit selfish just because you don't think about your health. Anything could happen like that with that procedure. And I feel like, especially if we have the kids together, you don't think about how the kid will feel about the kid worrying about your health. I feel like that's important.
All right, man, I want to clap it up now. I hope you guys can hear me. Sound like my man was inside the MTA tunnel system. My man was taking a ride under the bus. My brother, I know you in New York City. I know New York City is a hustle and bustle city, the city that never sleeps. I was born and raised in New York City, so trust me, I know. It sounded like my man was on top of the train filming the Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3. But one more time, shout out to my guy, because he brought up some valid points, man. He said that to him, it does come off as selfish. And that's when, I hate to keep going back to this, but that's where you got to go back to DC Young Fly and, like I said, his partner. And how, like I said, I understand, his partner recently had a child at the time. She passed away. She wanted to go get surgery, get her stomach done, get her ass done, and kind of get that perfect body back right. That's what she wanted to do. And again, as my brother just said just now, you can't tell a woman, well, you can tell her what she can and can't do with her body, but the final decision is hers. And, DC Young Fly, his partner, she went to Florida and got the surgery done. And, tragically, sadly, she never made it back home alive. And that's the risk that you take when you have those surgeries. And that's why I come on here and I'll be open, I'll be honest, and simply have that discussion, not to scare nobody, but to let you know that the world is not social media. Like in life, when you take risk, sometimes there are consequences to those risks, and sometimes you may not like the consequences, or a lot of times you may not have a second chance to go back and undo those consequences. But I got one more voicemail I want to dive into, and then I want to leave you guys with a little maybe 5 to 7 minute clip as they talk about, like I said, the deaths of 2 black women who went and got those BBLs. And they also, dive in and discuss some safer alternatives that you can get if you're trying to go from flat to fat.
Man, there's 2 sides to this, because the secrecy thing is kind of weird. I feel like relationships that have, that kind of deception is probably not headed for the wedding chapel. It's probably not going to last. So
that's a fact.
I'd probably be a little disenfranchised with how it works out. But at the same time, if your lady's expressing something you know, like a kind of a deep want, like something that's kind of been eating at her, and it's kind of hard to not support her in that. Honestly, man, I don't really know how I would feel about the whole secret cosmetic surgery. It's dangerous. You don't really know the long-term effects. It's definitely a slippery slope when you have to think about, how we don't really know what the long-term effects of these things are. And from what I've seen, there's a lot of negative that comes with it. And, if you're in a union, I would hope that my lady would, definitely want me to be a part of something like that. And she's going under the knife, that I would hope that I would be there for something like that. And I'd probably be a little hurt that I wasn't a part of that. But, I'd definitely be curious as to who went with her. Who's taking my lady to secret surgery. Because I have some questions as to what other secrets they have. And, it's the kind of girl that goes on the girls trip that keeps the secrets that might.
I want to clap it up for my guy, man, because he does bring up a valid point about still supporting your woman. But, you can support something, but it doesn't mean that you have to agree with it. But like I said, nobody goes and gets BBL surgery and just envision themselves dying. But I bring up these topics and I have these conversations and I dive into these type of scenarios because I always want people to understand that you can do whatever you want in life. But like I said, sometimes there are consequences and sometimes you don't get a second chance to undo those. I seen a story on the news maybe about a couple weeks ago where, a teen broke into a man's house to commit a robbery because that was the choice he decided to make. That homeowner shot him dead. He did not have a second chance to undo those consequences and learn about safer alternatives. But right now, you guys can. And that's why I said, man, I want to end this episode, man. I want to let you guys hear about two mothers who died after receiving a BBL. This is from Fox 26 Houston. They always dive into some great conversations. One more time, shout out, man. Clap it up, man, for Fox 26 Houston. I played them before. They always have amazing, deep dive, great, well thought out clips. Shout out to Dr. Malik Cuddy and Crystal Roney Smith. Those are some of the voices you guys are going to hear on this clip. Let's dive into it.
New year, and for some people it's a chance to create a new look for themselves. We just talked about the obsession with the ladies a few minutes ago here on The Factor Uncensored. Now we're discussing and going to discuss how dangerous the procedure can be. Two women, both mothers, got the procedure, and we heard about them over the weekend. Just devastating to many of the people who read it, and they ended up dying. Secreta Tolliver traveled from Chicago to the Dominican Republic for her BBL. She died from internal bleeding while recovering from the procedure last month. 26-year-old Janisha Jayla Williams got surgery for both a BBL and a butt lift in 2021. Sadly, she never woke up once the surgery was completed. Turns out an unlicensed doctor gave her anesthesia. Board-certified plastic surgeon and the man who has been ringing the alarm here in Houston for months, Dr. Malik Cuddy, joins me now here on The Factor Uncensored to hear, and we all saw those pictures on social media, and as I got them, I sent them to my producer, to hear that such young people, lives have ended as a result of them seeking beauty, dying to be beautiful in their minds. Your thoughts about seeing so many young people in their lives as a result of getting plastic surgery?
Well, I think you have to really think about how those patients end up where they end up to have those operations, and that's really where the problem lies. if you separate out the people who had serious problems or a death from everyone else, I think what you'd find is the vast majority of them are being done by surgeons who should not be doing it. They're done in facilities where surgery shouldn't happen. The anesthesia services are really substandard. The vast majority of problems are happening in those situations.
And unfortunately, doctor, what we have is individuals who find the cheap route. These are people who are not board certified, not in this country. In one case, the Dominican Republic. In another case, this person did not have a license. And so they're likely charging cheaper rates.
Oh, they definitely are charging less. And, you know, you have people who are, say you find a surgeon to perform the procedure in the first place, and you find him on TikTok, and on TikTok or Instagram, you have all these different doctors advertising services, basically, you know, just as if it were any other commodity. And people will gravitate toward the ones that are cheaper, and they don't understand that it's not a commodity. There's a big difference between this operation or any plastic surgery operation being done by somebody who's qualified and somebody who should absolutely not be doing it. The ones who shouldn't be doing it are doing it very cheaply, and patients don't understand that.
And I think people think, okay, so this is just my ass. My ass is not going to kill me, but it could if it's not properly done by someone who knows what they're doing.
Yeah, and what I can do is give you just kind of a brief example of a particular problem that can happen. There's something called a fat embolus, which is a small amount of fat accidentally gets injected into a blood vessel. It goes into the circulation and can kill a patient very quickly. That problem is something that's avoided with excellent training and experience. And that's something that the cheap doctors don't have. If they had that kind of training, they wouldn't have to do it so cheaply. That's just one example.
And really quick, many of those doctors who are not like an oral surgeon who will do this, they get like a weekend of training.
Yes,
or a course,
very common.
And then they start the procedure.
Yeah, very common, and I think I've talked about it before. There's a course that has a 15-minute segment on patient safety. So you're not going to catch these kinds of very important things. You're not going to have somebody who's been trained under the supervision of other really experienced surgeons on exactly how to do these things and avoid those kinds of complications. But you know, any operation can have a complication. You can have bleeding, you can get an infection, you can have anesthesia problems. But you limit the chance of those happening if you are choosing the right surgeon, and that's what board certification for plastic surgeons is all about. You know, you have somebody, you have to have certain types of training, you have to have a certain amount of experience, and then you have this large group of very, highly respected surgeons looking at your abilities and saying, okay, we think that you're good enough that you can go out and you could do these for people. And if you don't have board certification, usually it's because you just don't have that kind of an experience.
And so when we talk about these procedures and individuals who are putting their lives at risk, what can you say? Because I looked at all of these posts over the weekend, not just the weekend, but during the holiday when I was off, and I'm like, here's another one, here's another one, what can we say, if anything, to people out there who are looking to go the cheap way through medical tourism, going to a foreign country where they can save money, or those who may not be board certified?
Well, what I charge for this operation is going to be more than it is if you go to the Dominican Republic, but what I tell people is don't be price sensitive, and it sounds kind of self-serving, but it's to say don't make the cost of the operation the first consideration. It's not like just having this particular operation is the same no matter who does it, and you should just go with the cheapest thing. It's not like gasoline.
Right.
That's the thing that people just don't get, that there is a difference between different doctors who do these things, and it's not just the surgeon. Anesthesia, if you're having it done cheaply, you're definitely getting cheap anesthesia. And people don't think about that. They're thinking about the doctor and only the doctor. They don't think about what kind of facility it is. They don't think about who's giving them anesthesia. And what I tell patients when I do surgery on them, I say, the most important person in the room is you. The second most important person is the anesthesiologist, because they're the ones who are keeping you alive during that operation.
Very sensitive procedure. And also, many people get these procedures done in another country and hop on the plane the same day or the next day, and you shouldn't do that. But Dr. Cuddy, we'll continue to talk about this as long as it takes to get it to the public.
Like I said, man, one more time, hand clap. That was Fox 26, The Factor Uncensored. Now, like I said, man, throughout the course of this episode, of course, I try to make it entertaining, but also educational, also informative. So you guys out there, man, who do want to get that BBL, by all means, do what you feel you need to do so that you can feel good about yourself. I'm simply here to have these conversations, have these discussions, and just give you guys some more insight before you make a decision that could potentially cost you your life. Like I said, man, you guys who stay showing love, stay showing support, thank you. Again, my Cash App is $NYC Stories 718. My Venmo is Lunchroom Chatterpod. Keep spreading the word. Keep showing love to that LCP.
Brand new LCP.
So until next time, like I said, tell your friend, your mama, your niece, your nephew, your cousin, your coworker to lock in. We out there, bitch.